where the enabling legislation has not set the timelines for the making of regulations, and where a person fails to make regulations within that required timeline, the person commits an offense that is punishable within a fine of 500,000 shillings. This is a bill that is coming up also today and will be considered at the division stage for it to move to the next stage. But as you can see, that is the Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Jeff Akingi, making his way into the chamber to preside over this afternoon's sitting. I will now hand you over to this live broadcast brought to you by PBU in partnership with KBC. My name is Kamche Menza. Good afternoon.
Na tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, tukusihi ututazame na neema nyingi na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri hii yetu. Tukuomba utuajalie tuyatende na kufikia mambo yote atakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Clerk, do you have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
Well, members inside the chambers have not yet quorated, and therefore the quorum bell is on, of course, to sort of give an allowance to the members who may be within the precincts of Parliament and yet to get to the chambers to perhaps hasten their steps and get to the chambers and enable the House achieve that required quorum of at least 15 senators. And to allow the House commence its business. Senator Veronica Maina, we can see will be able to also get to the chambers. I can see at the entrance of the chambers, Senator Gloria, also the majority leader, Honorable Aaron Cheriot, as well as nominated Senator Chimera. Members are making their way in a short while. I believe that quorum will be achieved, and I will, without any further delay, just hand this business back to the House for you to be able to follow on the proceedings. Pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 53.1 that provides for members to seek statements from standing committees, this afternoon the nominated Senator, Honorable Gloria Oroba, will seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labour and Social Welfare. This is with regards to the fate of the candidates shortlisted for Diaspora Jobs Program under the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection. The Senator for Kisii County, Honorable Richard Onyonka, also will seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defence and Foreign Relations. This is with regards to a fatal shooting incident that occurred in Sombogo, Kitutu Chache North, Kisii County. The Senator for Kisumu County, Professor Tom Ojienda, will also seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding access to clean and safe water in Kisumu County. The quorum has been achieved. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast. Good afternoon.
Clerk, you may call the first order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
The Senate Majority Leader.
The office holders.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Majority Leader, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, on 2nd April 2025. Legal Notice number 62, Sustainable Waste Management, Extended Producer Responsibility, Amendment number 2, Regulations 2025, and Legal Notice number 63, Environmental Management and Coordination, Water Quality Amendment number 2, Regulations 2025. I beg to lay.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 53-1. Senator Gloria Oroba.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding the fate of the candidates shortlisted for the Diaspora Jobs Program under the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection. In the statement, the committee should address the following. Number 1, the fate of 89 shortlisted candidates who paid a fee of $15,000 each, completed and passed their medical exams, and have not yet received their job contracts, stating when they should expect their refunds. Number 2, the fate of the thousands of shortlisted candidates who have been recruited through the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection and channeled to the agents to pay fees, some of who have paid more than 50,000 Kenya shillings. Number 3, the role of the Director General of the National Employment Authority and the Minister for Labor and Social Protection in the recruitment process, and whether the two officials own any recruitment agencies. Number 4, whether due process was followed in the vetting of the agencies engaged to work in partnership with National Employment Authority and the Ministry, considering that one of the leading agents of a firm engaged by the Ministry, Festus Omambia, has been arrested before and charged with collecting money for fake diaspora jobs. Number 5, lists of the beneficiaries of the current labor export program and reasons for the backlog of the shortlisted candidates arising from recent recruitments who have not yet traveled for work more than 6 months after they paid the recruitment fee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Richard Onyonka. That statement is dropped. Senator Tom Ojenda. Senator Tom Ojenda has 2 statements. Those 2 statements are dropped. Senator Fernandi. Senator Cherankei. That statement is dropped. Senator Mohamed Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'm requesting for a statement on the construction status of Marsabit Segel Maikona Road. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing regarding the progress and current status of construction of Marsabit to Segel and Maikona Road. In the statement, the committee should address the following. Number one, details of the contractor awarded the project, including the name of the company, the total contract amount, and the date the contract was awarded, outlining the roles of the Ministry of Roads and the Kenya National Highways Authority in overseeing the implementation of this project. Number two, timelines for completion of the road from commencement of construction works, the expected completion date as per the awarded tender, and whether the project was planned in phases. If so, specify which sections have been completed and which section remain under construction. Number three, reason for any delays or interruptions in the construction process, providing details on any financial, technical, or administrative challenges affecting the progress. Number four, plans in place to ensure the completion of the remaining sections, including the expected timeline for resumption and completion of the project. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
So I'll allow comments for not more than 15 minutes. Honorable Senator, if you have an opportunity to speak, speak for not more than 3 minutes. Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking on a very related matter, not specific to a statement, but something that concerns me. I follow the work of committees, Mr. Speaker, as majority leader, and I see the kind of work that our committees have to put up with. I am increasingly getting concerned on the level of workload that we are giving to our committees with regards to statements, Mr. Speaker. If you speak to chairpersons and members of the various committees, committees predominantly handle bills that are before them, they handle petitions, they handle statements. We are soon, Mr. Speaker, and I really beg for your indulgence on this matter so that perhaps as a House we can think through it and take a decision. We run the risk of being the Senate that considered statements only. If you follow through the reports, and I know committees are due to report to us before we break for recess, Mr. Speaker, you will realize that most of our committees, their biggest workload is actually to respond to statements. With no specific reference to any particular senator or any particular issue, Mr. Speaker, I know this is not a very nice conversation to have, and this is my honest opinion. My colleagues could perhaps hold a slightly different view to it, but this is what I feel, and I say this as somebody who served in this House for long enough to know the difference between what is a statement that befits consideration by a committee of the Senate of the Republic of Kenya and others that are pursuing matters that don't meet that particular threshold. I do not know what procedure you can put in place, Mr. Speaker, so that at least we can save our committees the time of having to consider certain matters which perhaps can either be dealt with by that member, either writing directly to the agency or being left to be dealt with at the county assembly level, especially if there is absolutely no relation to the stature of the Senate as an institution, and it's a matter that purely, Mr. Speaker, perhaps will concern only that particular senator and their county. Mr. Speaker, if we don't make a decision on this matter, you will soon realize that at the very least, every committee, and there is that bill tracker that they give us at Senate Business Committee, you'll realize that each of our 14 committees have no less than 200 statements to consider. Tell me how practically it is possible for all our committees to consider those statements, respond, and give quality feedback to senators who are raising these statements. We must have a conversation, Mr. Speaker, about what is a threshold which a statement meets for it to be considered that this one, we can send it to the committee of the House, Mr. Speaker. That's my concern, which I beg your indulgence, and perhaps you can guide us on how we can make a decision on that particular matter. I don't know if chairpersons are concerned, but I'm particularly concerned about that issue, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wambua.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you allow me, I will also want to associate myself with the remarks made by the majority leader in as far as the business of this House is concerned. Mr. Speaker, it will be remembered that I've gone on record questioning the amount of work that our committees are being called upon to process, and the impression being created that actually our committees are not performing well. Mr. Speaker, I want to advise, with your permission, as a ranking member in this House. The Speaker, there are issues that are coming on the floor of this House that, to a certain extent, diminish the dignity of the House. The Speaker, I've seen statements that seek responses literally on paths in our counties, and I know Senate can inquire into any matter in any county. But the Speaker, there is no county in this country that does not have a county assembly. Apart from Nyamira County, the Speaker, that has got 2 county assemblies, the other counties have basically county assemblies that are functioning. Mr. Speaker, I would request that you give direction on the matter of the threshold for statements to be brought before the House, and even the process of clearance of those statements, Mr. Speaker, so that we don't end up with so much workload in committees that actually clogs the work of committees and prevents committees from undertaking other equally or maybe more important matters like processing of bills and motions and stuff like that. Mr. Speaker, I seek your indulgence. I thank you.
Now, honorable senators, to address the concerns raised by the majority leader and amplified and echoed by Senator Enoch Wambua, there are 3 players to this. If we are to get it right, these 3 players must get it right at their own levels. Now, player number 1 is the senator himself. Player number 2 is the secretariat, and then ultimately all these statements land at the Speaker's desk. Now, honorable senators, if you look at Standing Order 55-3, it's very clear because it gives you the requirements of a statement. If you know your statement does not meet the requirements as per Standing Order 55-3, then you need not place it before the Secretariat. I've had to decline approving quite a number of statements because they do not meet that particular criteria set out in Standing Order 55-3. Now, when I engage the Secretariat, and I'm going to be very candid on this, when I interrogate the Secretariat why they've processed statements that clearly do not meet the criteria as set out in Standing Order 55-3, their response has been that if we do not process this statement, then we'll be in trouble with the senator. Honorable senators, statements will be processed because they meet the criteria. the Secretariat will not process statements out of fear. And therefore, if you play your part, then the concerns raised by the Majority Leader and Senator Enoch will be addressed. Secondly, is the Secretariat. You will do your work without fear or favor. Any statement that does not meet the criteria set out in Standing Order 55.3 must not be processed. It doesn't matter who brought it up, whether a ranking member or a new member. If the statement does not meet the criteria of Standing Order 55.3, it shall not be processed. Because if you push the Secretariat to do, we'll end up with a scenario that has raised the concern as alluded to by the two honorable senators. Now, on my part, I'm going to be very vigilant on this particular aspect. I have declined to approve quite a number of statements in this regard, and I'll continue tightening, and I'll continue applying the criteria as set out in Standing Order 55.3. Only then will we be able to address the concerns as raised by the Majority Leader and Senator Enoch. But, honorable senators, we need not go to those lengths. As you're drafting your statement, have your standing order before you. Have Standing Order 55.3 before you, and you can even tick the box, because it says our statement must be able to follow the following criteria. Criteria number 1, and for avoidance of doubt and clarity, allow me to give you the full criteria as demanded by Standing Order 55.3. A request for statement shall not be made the pretext for debate. I have seen quite a number of statements that actually are made in the pretext of a debate. 2, be framed so as to give information or suggest its own response. Convey a particular point of view, contain an argument, inference, opinion, imputation, or ironical or offensive expression. Repeat in substance any matter covered in prior requests for statement or already responded to, either as a statement or in the course of a debate during the same season. Now, the same session. We have abused this particular sub-criteria. Remember, I'll give you an example, a recent example of the, is it called the, this outbreak. What disease is this in Marsabit? Al-Azhar. We were dealing with that before it was even fully committed to the committee. A similar request was made from the county of Wajir, same subject matter. Some stakeholders will be called upon to respond. So if we strictly apply Standing Order 55.3c, then certainly that's one of those statements ought not, especially the one that came later. Now, another one is seek an expression of opinion, ask whether any statement in the press or of a private individual or an official body other than an official government report is accurate, refer to more than one subject matter, be of excessive length, include the name of any person or any statement not strictly necessary to render the request intelligible, or refer to proceedings of a select committee before the committee has made its report to the House. Now, honorable senators, if only we adhere to the criteria as given by Standing Order 55.3, we should be able to sieve quite a number of these statements that end up flooding our committees and therefore clogging their will and thereby making them less ineffective. So let all of us play our role. Honorable senators, play your role. The Secretariat will play their role, and the Chair will play its role for us to fully address the concerns as given to us by the Majority Leader and Senator Enoch. Yes, Senator for Nairobi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just needed to seek some clarification. First, as a regular victim of the very stringent criteria that you have very ably reiterated there. No, Speaker, during my time at the Senate Business Committee, there was a conversation we had about the reciprocal responsibility of the Secretariat. That once, my statement falls on that axe, at the very minimum, communication should be made to me to know that my statement or the request suffered that fate. Unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, I feel like the Secretariat has never taken up that particular issue, that you will only know that it has suffered that fate when you don't see it weeks later. And I don't think that is how it's supposed to be, even when you are helping people to learn. And I think by this time, because we are halfway through our term, many of us are very well versed with the rules. But there are some unspoken rules, Speaker, because some of my statements have fallen not on this sword, but an undisclosed sword, because there are matters that might be uncomfortable in terms of discussion. And I can give examples, but I don't want to go into it. My point is, my point is, Speaker, I think there is a duty on the part of the Secretariat to just notify the member that your statement has fallen on the sword of the specific rules under Standing Order number 55. And that would help us to even maybe reframe them and bring them back in a manner that satisfies the powers that be. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Then we can now proceed, Honorable Senators. Let us raise that matter. We shall raise that matter there. Just put the standing order before you and apply it accordingly. Senator Fernandez, Senator for Kiambu, you know you cannot raise on a point of order if there's no senator on the field. Okay, proceed to seek your clarification. But I hope it's not on Standing Order 55, because that is rested now. I hope it's on a different subject matter.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My point of clarity is based on Standing Order 53. And it's also good to note that the new chairs are already tired. They want to reduce the amount of statements that are coming to their committee. My point of order is, if you read Standing Order 53.3, it says that where a statement has been requested from a committee pursuant to paragraph 1, the Speaker may allow comments in relation to the statement for not more than 15 minutes. Mr. Speaker, and this is where we always have a problem, because we always discuss the statement, which goes against what you have said on Standing Order 55, 3A. Because 3A, a statement shall not be made the pretext for a debate. So whether we are commenting, it somehow looks like a debate because we are discussing the content of that statement. So I think if we have to invoke 55, 3A, then we must revoke 53, 3. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Honorable Senators. Order, Honorable Senators. Senator Karungo, you are totally misguided. Those two provisions are not contradicting each other. In 55.3, it speaks on the body of your request for statement. It must not be made in the pretext of a debate. It should be very clear what you're seeking. It should not raise an argument as you're raising it. Very clear what you're seeking, and which committee you want it to be committed to. Now, Standing Order 53.3 is to give a chance to your colleagues maybe to amplify what you've said. In fact, 53.3 does not talk of a debate, it's comments. Because we are not debating a statement. Maybe you'd wish a committee to go beyond what has been requested, basically adding value to the request that has been made, but not really debating the contents of that particular statement. So I think the two complement each other. And honorable members, let us not make progress, but allow me to call Senator Esi Okenyuri. What is your intervention?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On that same line of statements, this is regard to committing of statements to different committees. For instance, I have a case here that is dealing with the management and operations of the Kenya National Police DT SACCO, which has been referred to the National Security Committee, whereas I feel that SACCOs are issues to do with cooperatives, so should have been better handled by the Trade Committee. I would wish to seek clarity on this matter, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senator Esi, when you rose to seek for that statement, you must have indicated which committee you wanted to handle that matter.
Yes, I've actually said this matter currently has been directed by the Secretariat to the National Security Committee.
No, before we get to the Secretariat, whenever a senator takes to the floor, they indicate, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 and then you state the committee. At that particular time, which committee did you mention?
This is not my statement.
It's
the
whose
statement
statement?
is not mine.
It's whose statement?
Huh?
It's whose statement?
I just saw this directed to the National Security Committee and thought it touches on the Trade Committee. Maybe we should have handled it better.
Well, you have a point, but I just want to know who is the owner of this statement being referred to by Senator Esi?
I think I need to confirm from the Secretariat. It's a statement that is touching on the management and operations of the Kenya National Police DT SACCO.
Of course, it is totally misplaced there. The subject of that statement, though it emanates from police officers, but what that statement ought to interrogate are the dealings of a cooperative society by the police officers. It has got nothing to do with security matters. And therefore, it ought to have gone to the committee in charge of cooperative affairs. And therefore, I will direct that the matter be placed before the committee in charge of cooperative affairs, is be taken away from the Secretary of Defense and Security, so that it can rightfully be probed in that particular committee. Honorable Senators, let us make progress. Now, I have Senator Professor Tomo Jenda and the Senator Fernande, who've walked in late after their business had been dropped. Now, Professor Tomo Jenda has approached me, has approached the chair, and explained his absence while the business was being called out. To the satisfaction of the chair, I will therefore restate his statement. Likewise, I will restate the statement by Senator Fernande, having explained himself to the satisfaction of the chair. And I will therefore allow Senator Tomo Jenda to proceed to read his two statements. Thereafter, the Senator Fernande will proceed to read his one statement. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two brief statements. The first statement is on access to clean water in Kisumu County. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding access to clean and safe water in Kisumu County. Access to clean water is a fundamental right, Mr. Speaker, yet many residents of Kisumu County continue to face acute water shortages, forcing them to rely on unsafe water sources, which pose serious health risks. Rural access and informal settlements in the county are particularly affected with the erratic water supply and inadequate distribution infrastructure worsening the crisis. In the statement, the committee should address the following: the current water supply coverage in Kisumu County, including statistics on households with access to piped water, treated water. 2, measures being undertaken by the national and county governments to improve water access, including investment in boreholes, dams, and water treatment facilities. 3, status of ongoing planned water projects in Kisumu County, particularly those under the Lake Victoria Water Works Development Agency. 4, budgetary allocations for water infrastructure development in Kisumu County for the current financial year and outlining key projects. Lastly, interventions in place to address contamination of water sources and ensure that residents receive safe drinking water. Mr. Speaker, my second statement is on. Sorry, Mr. Speaker. My second statement is on exclusion, is on ethnic exclusion and marginalization of persons with disabilities, PWDs, within county assemblies. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations concerning the recent revelations by the Auditor General and the National Cohesion Commission regarding entrenched ethnic exclusion and the marginalization of persons with disabilities, PWDs, within county assemblies in blatant violation of constitutional and statutory mandates on inclusivity. Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General's report and the NCIC's Ethnic and Diversity Audit of the County Public Service 2023 revealed that 34 counties, that's about 72% of counties, have violated Section 65(1)(e) of the County Government Act 2012 by over-representing dominant ethnic groups in their workforce. This has resulted in the marginalization of minority communities such as the El Molo, the Dasanach, the Hokomo, as well as a systematic failure to meet the constitutional requirement of allocating at least 5% of public appointments to persons with disabilities. These violations not only undermine constitutional principles of inclusivity, equality, and non-discrimination, but also erode the core objectives of devolution, threatening national unity and cohesion. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Cohesion should address the following. 1, to explain the role of county public service boards and county assembly boards in contributing to these disparities and specify any measures they have taken, if any, to address and rectify this imbalance in public service employment. 2, outline the specific actions undertaken by oversight bodies, particularly EACC and NCIC, to address these violations and enforce compliance with diversity and inclusion. 3, clarify whether there are any ongoing or planned policy and legislative interventions aimed at eliminating ethnic patronage in county employment and enforcing the 5% employment quota for PWDs and ensuring strict adherence to constitutional and statutory provisions on inclusivity within county assemblies. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that indulgence, and I don't take it for granted. Request for statement on the death of Dr. Daniel Ndege Chacha, who was a doctor at Kenyatta National Hospital. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53(1) to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding the death of Dr. Daniel Ndege Chacha, who was a doctor at Kenyatta National Hospital, offering free consultative and treatment service to patients. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the statement, the committee should address the following. 1, circumstances surrounding the death of Dr. Chacha, including allegations that KNH management denied him medical services due to lack of medical coverage or financial ability. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, procedure followed by KNH in providing medical assistance to intern doctors who fall ill while on duty, especially at the facility. So, Speaker, number 3, why Dr. Chacha, Daniel Ndege, was not accorded the necessary support despite being registered under the Social Health Authority, SHA, Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illness Fund, and whether the failures were due to administrative or decision-making issues that contributed to the situation. So, Speaker, sir, status of the investigation into the death of Dr. Timothy Riungu, a pediatrician who died on November 22nd, 2024, allegedly after being overworked without food for over 48 hours at the same facility, including details on the compensation awarded to his family, and my deepest condolences to family and friends of the fallen doctors. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Now, honorable senators, as I had earlier communicated, if you have a chance to speak, you speak for not more than 3 minutes so that we can have everybody on the dashboard having a chance to speak. Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to comment on the statement in relation to exportation of labor from Kenya. Mr. Speaker, there are already 3 people from Makueni who have found themselves in Manama, and in fact one has now gone missing after the earthquake. Mr. Speaker, when they landed in Thailand, they were not taken through the normal clearance process, including their passports were not stamped, and they were quickly driven in an SUV for many kilometers till they found themselves in Manama. Mr. Speaker, now that there is a Ministry of Labor which is dealing with this very serious matter, Mr. Speaker, how are our people, our young people, finding themselves in a country which is under military rule, and any efforts to rescue them, Mr. Speaker, come even from the neighboring China government? Mr. Speaker, this is a matter the government really needs to be keen on. This is worse than what has been happening in Arabia, and we really want a way forward to make sure that our children don't get cheated out of this country and they end up as labor slaves abroad. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Miraj.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii niweze kuchangia katika statement ya Senator Gloria kuhusiana na ndugu zetu ambao wamekoniwa pesa zao wakati wanataka kusafiri kwenda kutafuta ruzuku kule ugaibuni. Bwana Spika, nazungumza na masikitiko makubwa kwamba
Senator Miraj, you need to decide your mode, your language of communication. You need to order, honorable senators. You may proceed. Choose your mode of communication. Is it Kiswahili or English? Don't mix the two. Proceed.
Kuhusu statement ya kulaghaiwa kwa vijana wetu ambao wanatafuta ruzuku kule ugaibuni. Bwana Spika, ni muda mrefu tumekuwa tukifuatilia katika kamati yetu ya leba vile vijana wamekuwa wakinyang'anywa pesa zao, wakiuza mashamba, wakidanganywa kwamba wataenda kufuata masomo hata kufanya kazi kule nje. Inasikitisha kuona ni wizara ya serikali inayoongozwa na waziri. Zinatangazwa fursa, waziri anakwenda pale, watoto wanapawa offer letters, wananyang'anywa tu kima cha shilingi 50,000 na zaidi. Na tuko na ushahidi wa kutosha, Bwana Spika. Na kauli yangu ni kusema na laani na kukashifu vikali kitendo kama hicho. Hakiwezekani kwamba tunasema tunajaribu kunyorosha maajenti ambao wamekuwa wakiwaibia watoto wetu. Sasa imekuwa ni maboardroom ya waziri ambao yanatumika watoto hawa kulagaiwa. Tunataka hata hii haingekuwa statement, Senator Gloria. Ungemuacha waziri aje hapa, ajibu maseneta wote 67 wa taifa la Kenya. Atuambie vile anatuambia anasafisha maajenti waizi, alafu inageuka hata zile fursa ambazo rais amekwenda kutuombea kule nje, anaanza kuibia vijana wetu hapa. Asante Bwana Spika.
Senator Edwin Sifuna.
Honorable Speaker, just allow me to make some brief comments on the statement by the Senator for Nandi. Speaker, on the 18th of March, which is just a few days ago, you had visitors at the gate here, members of the medical profession in this country. And they had come here to bring petitions regarding some matters that are affecting them. And I remember being told on that same day about the death of this doctor, Daniel Chacha. Honorable Speaker, my concern now is that I think these statements regarding the welfare of our medical workers are piling up at the Committee on Health. They are becoming too many. And I am happy that immediately I stood up, the chair of the committee has walked in, because I was going to say that I was getting increasingly worried that whenever these people are here, I don't see him in the House. I need the Committee on Health to now, Honorable Speaker, deal with these matters with finality. We need an update from the chair of the Health Committee, because there was a specific directive from the chair that you must meet with these UHC workers, the doctors, everybody claiming arrears from, and they were here yesterday again, Honorable Speaker. It is making, you know, our work very difficult, and we appear like we are people who cannot handle this matter once and for all. I thought the directive of the chair was to get all these stakeholders in the medical profession before the Committee of Health. Has that meeting happened? What are the difficulties the Committee on Health is facing? Are the facilities in this building not sufficient for them to hold these meetings? How many times do the UHC workers have to come here with the trumpets, Honorable Speaker? And you have already given a directive. Even this question, you remember it was very sad that this doctor, he himself was not even able to afford medication, yet he's giving medication for free. This House, Honorable Speaker, must deal with issues with finality. And I don't mean to cast aspersions on our membership of the Health Committee, but honestly, if the UHC workers were here yesterday, it means that meeting that you directed has not happened. They will not be here again making noise outside the gates, yet we said we must treat them with dignity. So I would even allow the Senator for Uasin Gishu to inform me, if he wants to inform me right now, on the steps that have been taken by this committee, instead of us committing more statements to. I can see, Honorable Speaker, I have cited the chair of the Health Committee. He should give this House, by way of a statement, an update on what he is doing. Otherwise, we look like we don't know what we are doing, and that is not something.
What is your intervention, Senator, for Uasin Gishu?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. First, of course, I wanted to inform Senator for Nairobi, my good friend, that I have not been missing in the House. In fact, I've been the one receiving the petition and addressing them. But that besides the point, Honorable Chair, this is a serious matter that has been raised in this House, and indeed you gave directions that we meet all the stakeholders. Honorable Speaker, we have scheduled a meeting for next week, Monday. As soon as we were to have the meeting, Honorable Chair, you understand that there were changes in the cabinet, and we needed to allow the new cabinet secretary to familiarize himself with the matters in the State Department, Honorable Speaker. But Honorable Speaker, my committee met with the former cabinet secretary, Dr. Barasa, and we made it very clear that the position of the Senate Health Committee and the position of the Senate is that all UHC staff who are recruited on contract during that period of COVID, Honorable Speaker, they should be absorbed under permanent and pensionable terms. Let me also let the House know that the Ministry of Health, the last time this matter was raised, we raised the matter, and resources amounting to 4.5 billion was allocated. Unfortunately, Honorable Chair, what the ministry did was to confirm those UHC staff who are working in national government facilities at the exclusion of the UHC staff who are working in counties. The staff who are working in counties, the resources were applied by renewing their contract instead of them being absorbed in permanent and pensionable terms. Honorable Speaker, I wish to seek the indulgence of the House to allow us to meet all those stakeholders on Monday, and we come up with a way forward. But it should be noted, Honorable Chair, that this matter will only be resolved when the money is put on the budget, and it will be our responsibility as a House to also put pressure on the National Assembly, who are responsible for budget-making process, to make sure that they allocate resources for absorption of health workers. Finally, Honorable Speaker, we have also asked the Ministry to address the issues of collective bargaining agreements and also make good any agreements that they have signed before, because we believe cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries don't just sign collective bargaining agreements for the sake of the workers to go back to work, but to actually implement what has been agreed. And Honorable Chair, from that meeting on Monday, we are also going to address those issues of collective bargaining agreements that have not been addressed. So the Senator for Nairobi, cool your horses. It's a serious matter. We also don't like our Senate Health Committee when health workers keep coming to the gates of the Senate, and all the time we have to leave the House to go and receive the petition. We also want to seek the indulgence also of the health workers to allow us time, because we discuss with
Senator Mungatana, I think the good senator has indicated that they were supposed to have a meeting much earlier, but because of the changes that were announced in cabinet, they had to push it to next week Monday to allow the incoming health CS familiarize himself with the docket, and that's why they were unable to have the meeting earlier. They had to push it to Monday. So let's wait for the report after the Monday meeting, Honorable Senator. Senator Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to comment on the statement by the Honorable Senator for Kisumu, the Honorable Professor Tomo Jienda, on the issue of opportunity for minorities in this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as the committee investigates this matter, I would encourage them to call on the various stakeholders, Mr. Speaker, and in particular the large employers in the public service at the national government level, to tell us how many people from Tana River, from Lamu, and these other small population counties are represented in the national level, Mr. Speaker. It has become a very unfair situation that many people, even departments, Mr. Speaker, are able to speak in mother tongue, and yet counties are not represented in those areas. Mr. Speaker, I pray that the day will come in this country that fairness will be felt, not just preached, but it will be felt at all levels, Mr. Speaker. And this is an opportunity for the Senate to investigate this matter, call the stakeholders, and get the statistics of what is the status of employment on small communities and counties that have small populations. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Osotsi.
Mr. Speaker, I want to comment on the statement by Senator Gloria on the issue of diaspora jobs. Mr. Speaker, I wish that this committee does an even more detailed work to look into the whole idea of diaspora jobs, because we have received so many complaints of people who are complaining either about being shortlisted or even being asked to pay exorbitant amounts of money to access jobs in diaspora. So these are very serious matter, whereas it is in our interest to get so many of our youth getting jobs here or even internationally. It is important that these youth are not exploited. And Mr. Speaker, when we talk about diaspora, what comes to mind also is the fate of immigrant workers particularly in the Middle East. Mr. Speaker, it's very frustrating that every time the CS for Labor comes to this House, this matter comes up, and we don't get conclusive answers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you remember when the CS appeared in this House, and I raised a matter about some female from my county who had been killed in Saudi Arabia. Mr. Speaker, the CS was not even aware that that was happening. And you had directed the CS to come back to me in 1 week. Mr. Speaker, the CS has my number, he has my WhatsApp, he has everything. I want to confirm he has not contacted me, he has not contacted the Senate, and yet that matter was very serious. So there is something wrong with this ministry, and how I wish the committee goes beyond just diaspora jobs to also inquire into this big problem of harassment, killings of immigrant workers, particularly in the Middle East, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think this cabinet secretary is not taking his work seriously.
Thank you, Secretariat. Kindly cause a letter to be sent to the CS Labor to make good his undertaking. The issue that he undertook to respond within a week, the issue that was raised by Senator Osotsi. Senator Wakili Sigei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to make a brief comment on the statement by the Senator for Kisumu with regard to the aspect on water availability, or rather clean water in the city of Kisumu. Mr. Speaker, it is not only the city of Kisumu that would have that has had the challenge with regards to water. Almost across most of our counties, Mr. Speaker, the county governments and water stakeholders have failed in their obligation that is constitutionally enshrined to provide safe, clean, and hygiene water to the residents. Mr. Speaker, such statement calls upon the stakeholders, and in this case, in the statement where the committee is expected to deal with the concerns, the aspect of the county governments where they have obligation to supply or provide clean water is cutting across. Mr. Speaker, this experience was an aspect that in the county government of Bomet, where it's been hosting the provision spots for the last 1 week, the entirety of the county of Bomet headquarters do not have clean, safe drinking water, not only for the residents of Bomet, but the entirety of over 14 counties from the region that were involved in the sports games. And Mr. Speaker, the statement is coming at a time where we as residents across the country are saying government agencies and bodies are supposed to comply and deal with their obligations as expected, both in law and also as a matter of an obligation of those institutions to serve the people of Kenya. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Beatrice Akinyi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to comment on the statement by the Senator of Kisumu, Professor Tom Ojienda, especially on regarding ethnic exclusions and marginalization of persons with disabilities within county assembly. Honorable Speaker, it is not only the county assemblies, but we want to encourage inclusion in all sectors, whether in the public service or in the private sector, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this country belongs to all of us. And apart from the people living with disability, Honorable Speaker, we want to see sectors where everybody fits in to the structures that are available there. Honorable Speaker, it is not only the PWDs, but even women, the youth, the aged, everybody should be seen to be included in the county assemblies and not limited to one county assembly, and especially even in the executives and even in the national agencies, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to support the access to clean and safe water, not only in Kisumu County. Honorable Speaker, everybody must have access to clean water. Water, Honorable Speaker, is a basic right. When our people have clean water, Honorable Speaker, even health issues that we often see being attended to in our health facilities are sorted out. So, Honorable Speaker, the Senator of Kisumu talked about drinking water, but we are talking about all the water that everybody uses in this country. Honorable Speaker, just the last few weeks, I talked about the issues of drought and issues of floods. Honorable Speaker, in this country, you should see the kind of available water that our populations use, especially in some of the drought-stricken areas. When you pass, even on the roads, you sympathize with women and children as you see the kind of water they are using. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, on the issue of the death of Dr. Daniel Ndege Chacha, Honorable Speaker, that should never happen, not only to the medics, but Honorable Speaker, everybody deserves getting services at hospitals. It is unfortunate that we got the story of Dr. Daniel, who lost his life because he could not afford consultation fee and treatment services. Honorable Speaker, health, water.
Before I allow the next senator to speak, allow me to make this communication. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, a visiting delegation from the County Assembly of Makueni. The delegation comprises members of the County Assembly and staff who are serving in the Powers and Privileges Committee. The delegation is undertaking a capacity building and benchmarking program in the Senate. I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that you may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. Honorable Reuben Musau Kavai, the Vice Chairperson. Honorable Engineer Joseph Muthemi Muema, the Honorable Jackson Dolo Kimunye, Honorable Mercy Ndinda Mutuku, Honorable Joseph Mbindio Matheka, Honorable Jacqueline Mutheni Kamula, Honorable Steve Nzivo Kilonzo, Honorable Magdalene Mulwa, Honorable Muthiani Mwangangi, Mr. Thomas Ndambuki, Mr. Joseph Kimanthi, Ms. Jane Mathias, and Mr. Cristiano Mutua. On behalf of the Senate, on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to you and wish you a fruitful visit. I will allow the Senator from Makueni to, under 1 minute, extend a word of welcome to the delegation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy to receive the delegation from Makueni County Assembly. Mr. Speaker, I'm very sure by the time they are through with their learning tour, there will be better MCS in the county of Makueni. Mr. Speaker, the county of Makueni has done very well so far in learning and implementing the same at the county level, and we have received quite a number of delegations, and the input has been very good back home. So I want to wish them a warm welcome, and I want to confirm that they must have come along with the mangoes and oranges. We are still in season. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Morgo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to also make my comments on two issues. One is on the diaspora job opportunities as reported in the House by Senator Orwoba. And I wish to say here that as a committee, we have met numerous times with the Minister for Labor, who was there earlier, and we have met with the one who is there now, currently. And the issue is the beginning, which is the process of the candidate done by agents, and therefore the mistakes are made by agents mainly, and it is simply because there is no firm and enough scrutiny on those agents as they interview the candidates before they proceed to go to those other countries. And a few of us, members, also made a trip to Saudi Arabia, and we found out that there were loopholes also there because our own embassy did not take emphasis on location of the workers that are in that country and were not in regular contact with them so that there is contact and knowing what is happening there. So we need, as somebody or a member has suggested, we have a time with the minister himself so that those processes are really put into a situation that can save our people. Thank you.
Senator Oburu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to make a short comment on the statement sought by a senator for Kisumu County, Senator Tom Ojienda, on the water, the shortage of water, clean drinking water for the people of Kisumu. Mr. Speaker, I am a resident of Kisumu town and Kisumu city, and I know this problem is very, very serious. But it is not just in the city. It is also across the board. Mr. Speaker, that county is littered with factories. There is a cement factory. There are 3 sugar factories, and these are polluters. These are very big polluters, and people, because they don't have access to clean water, either because they are not connected or they cannot afford the one supplied by the municipality, they use waters from the rivers, and these rivers are not clean at all, Mr. Speaker. They are littered, they are completely contaminated, and I hope the committee which is going to investigate this is going to get into details so that we can find a solution to this perennial water problem, which has become a big problem not only in Kisumu, but it spreads across the country. I know this is not just a problem of Kisumu, but it has been raised by Kisumu. Let it be an example. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, that is all I wanted to say about this statement. Thank you.
Senator Morango.
Asante sana Mr. Speaker kunipa nafasi kuchangia na kutoa tafsiri yangu kwa taarifa ambayo imeletwa na Senator Gloria. Mr. Speaker, wakati nchi inapambana kuhakikisha kwamba vijana na Wakenya wanapata kazi sana sana hapa na nchi ya nje, ni jambo la aibu kuona ya kwamba kuna watu ambao wamejiweka wakiritimba na kujipanga kuandaa wa Kenya. Mstahiki Spika, hakuna jambo mbaya wakati mawakala 9 wameungana na banki 3 wameungana kuhakikisha kwamba wale wanaotafuta kazi wamewalaghai na kuchukua maelfu ya pesa. Na Mstahiki Spika, ningetaka kuuliza waziri wa Leba, kwa sababu mambo hii yote yanafaa kujua kabla haijafika hapa. Kama amemakinika, anafaa kujua kwamba kuna jambo ambalo linaendelea kule nje ambao wa Kenya wanapoteza pesa zao. Mambo ni mawili, iwe anajua na anajua ni nini inaendelea, ama iwe hajui. Na kama hajui, ndio tu hapa kumkumbusha ya kwamba yanaotendeka ni jambo la aibu. Mstahiki Spika, na najua wakati waziri atakuja hapa, atakuja kulia na sisi. Na Mstahiki Spika, machozi ya mtengeneza jeneza haifai kuchukuliwa kwa njia ambayo inafaa katika mazishi. Hayafai kuaminiwa. Kwa sababu mambo yanayotendeka hapa tuko na ushahidi kwamba nani wanafanya. Tunajua inaendelezwa katika ofisi zipi. Alafu wale wanaofanya wanageuza kufanya wanafanya ni sinema ya Kichina. Kutuonyesha venye wanafanya kazi kwa nguvu kupeleka watu nje. Lakini watoto wetu bado wako huku, wako kule mashinani, pesa zao zimepotea. Banki inaitisha 5,000 ili kupeana loan, ili ilipwe kwa wale makala ambao wanaipokea moja kwa moja bila kupitia kwa wale wanatafuta kazi. Mstahiki Spika, nataka imefika wakati ambao sisi kama seneti tunafaa kukaa ngumu, tusichukuliwe kama wanasesere ambao wako hapa, tunajua venye tunafofanya. Asante sana Mstahiki Spika.
Senator Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will just say that it is disappointing. I think Kenya has become the hub of fake recruitment agencies. From the first choice to True Spin Travel Agency, where Rish Kamunge was conning people allegedly through TikTok, Mr. Speaker. I pity, because I even saw my youth from Mengwen stranded, Mr. Speaker. But the sad reality is that there is complicity from National Employment Authority, Mr. Speaker. Even on this issue, how do you pay 15,000 for medical examination? What are they examining? And I'm told some of the examinations they are doing to men include pregnancy tests, Mr. Speaker, and yet you are a man. Why would they do? How can you subject a Kenyan to 15,000 shillings medical tests, Mr. Speaker? It is embarrassing. 15,000, what are they testing? And the good doctor seated next to me, how do you charge 15,000, Mr. Speaker, for these young men who even borrow 1,000 shillings for transport, and they have never been refunded, Mr. Speaker? Number two, Mr. Speaker, we are aware that there are banks that are being used, allegedly Diamond Trust Bank, Kenya Commercial Bank, Mr. Speaker, and one called Global Finance, Human Spar Capital, Mr. Speaker, who are being used allegedly, Mr. Speaker, to siphon the money, where if you are given 55,000, Mr. Speaker, you must provide 5,000 kickback to these agencies, Mr. Speaker. It is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, that the Minister of Labor, Mr. Speaker, and some of us will not allow anybody to sabotage the President's program. Because the person giving the bad name, the labor mobility, Mr. Speaker, is none other but the Speaker, is none other, Mr. Speaker, than the CS of Labor, Alfred Mutua, Mr. Speaker. You know, he acted in a lot of movies. This is not a movie, Mr. Speaker. This is not Cobra Squad. This is about the lives of many young Kenyans, people like Blue Wave Agency, DRC Agency, Epic Manpower, Global Finance Human Resource, Iceberg Agency, Marlo Small Liars, Monisa Agency, Shakale Agency, Workstar, were chaired by one person called Moses Mbiti. The CS of Labor must come out. Which interest does he have with these agencies, Mr. Speaker? And we'll call him out. We shall not allow CS Mutua to support the President's agenda. Now that we are in broad-based government, we will deal with them munduku mundu. Mr. Speaker, I support the statement.
Senator Crystal Asig.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise with grave concern as well in response to the same statement regarding the fate of shortlisted candidates for diaspora employment under the Ministry of Labour. Speaker, for far too long, young job-seeking Kenyans have been left vulnerable to exploitation with no accountability at all. It's deeply disheartening that young Kenyans, many already struggling with economic hardship, Speaker, have been subjected to financial exploitation under the guise of recruitment fees, only to be left in limbo for months with no refunds. Young people, Speaker, go through far too much in Kenya. If it's not failures in bursary and school capitation, it's a lack of employment. If it's not a lack of employment, it's abductions. If it's not abductions, Speaker, it's femicide. If it's not femicide, it's overseas exploitation like this. If the state cannot guarantee our safety in the country and cannot guarantee our safety outside of the country, where do you want us young people to go? Yes, Speaker, I agree that labor migration does have the potential to provide valuable economic opportunities to the youth. That's true, but it's complete failure when young people are exploited in this way, abandoned, or worst of all, come back home in body bags. Must I remind us that us, young people, are the greatest asset in this country? And it's particularly infuriating that even after meeting with the board of the National Employment Authority, comprising of Vincent Kigen, the chairperson, and Edith Okoki, the DG, and secretary to the board, just last year on October 26th, Speaker, during a Labor and Social Welfare Committee engagement, they made promises. They tried making requests that we should not disband them, because that was what was on the line for them. But Mr. Speaker, how come they're responsive when they need help, but they're not responsive when young Kenyans need help? Especially after all of these commitments that they've made time and again. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, Trustpin agency led by Rish Kamunge is now the scandal that we're looking at. 13 million has been swindled from young people, Mr. Speaker, and young people are stranded in Mauritius as we speak right now. That is the newest scandal of the block, and nothing is being done. And Mr. Speaker, I had an amendment to the National Authority Bill, Employment Authority Bill, and that has died, unfortunately. Apparently, Speaker, according to the clerk's office, that has been killed because of a lack of concurrence, even though it was to address these exact issues. And I don't understand, since last year, I have been denied the right to support and protect our young people, because that is my mandate as a young person in this House. I thank you.
Senator Kisangu, there is a problem with your, there's a problem with your button. Okay, you may proceed because it's blinking.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I know what time I came in, and I have seen those who have spoken. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I didn't chime in. Honorable Speaker, I want to comment on the statement by Senator Gloria. Honorable Speaker, since 2 years ago, we have discussed a lot in this House about first choice agency. There is this for Kamunge, there are many others. Honorable Speaker, how long are we going to take? How long will the ministry take before acting, Honorable Speaker? Yes, we need to rein in, especially on the CS. If the CS is conflicted, Honorable Speaker, he should do the honorable thing, resign, and go and run the agencies. Or we can request the president to take him back as a government spokesperson. He did very well when he was the government spokesperson. But I think in the Ministry of Labor is conflicted, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, recently I was out of the country, and what is happening about our youth who are working outside the country, Honorable Speaker, they have said when the agencies take them out of the country, they're given 2-year contract. By the time they are clearing the contract, Honorable Speaker, they have not even fully repaid what they are paid the agencies, Honorable Speaker. Why? I think we need to see the National Employment Authority Act and see how we can amend. We don't need these agencies. That National Employment Authority should be the agency to do this recruitment, Honorable Speaker, because these are cartels, they are killing our youth. It's the same issue when we advertise, when the government advertises employment for National Police Service or even KDF, National Youth Service, all these, our youth and the parents are paying 500,000, 600,000, even teachers, Honorable Speaker. The same disease that is happening outside the country, it's also happening within the country. We need to do something and do a surgical surgery, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, the last comment that I want to do is the death of our doctors. Honorable Speaker, you can imagine, you are dying because of lack of medicine, you are dying lack of consultation, and you are working in a medical facility, Honorable Speaker. It's like you are working for an hotel and you die of hunger. I mean, this is serious, Honorable Speaker. It's terrible. So I support Honorable Speaker.
Senator Newt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For clarity, I want to inform the whip that I'm not Wamonyoro. My name is Junior to the Senator from Murang'a. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support, Mr. Speaker, the statement by Senator Gloria regarding the exploitation that we are doing on our vulnerable youth, Mr. Speaker. Because it beats logic, because the major problem with this recruitment lies in this requirement for medical examination fees. Mr. Speaker, all of us here went to school and everybody was asked to take a medical certificate before admission. But there is no instance where anybody was referred to a particular medical facility in order for them to get a medical fitness report. So I think if this is going to continue, Mr. Speaker, it must be done in a way that somebody is just, the employee is only required to produce a medical report without being referred to any particular facility, Mr. Speaker. And the agents should not have anything to do with this medical fee. It should be the employee, the prospective employee, going to any medical facility of their choice, and preferably a government or a public hospital, to get this particular medical examination report, Mr. Speaker. These agents should not have anything to do with this. Mr. Speaker, the CS must take responsibility, because it cannot be that the National Employment Authority is mudding this process and the CS does not take political responsibility. Mr. Speaker, it must be said, we know that, for example, there are some drivers that were supposed to be engaged and they were supposed to leave the country and be in Saudi by December of last year. I know of a few that have not left even now, in spite of having paid this medical fee and all the other fees. The CS must take responsibility, Mr. Speaker. And we must stand here and say, and ask the President to look at competence of every other CS. That, Mr. Speaker, incompetence must not be seen like it resides in Mount Kenya. That the only CSs that are incompetent are in Mount Kenya. Mr. Speaker, we must call out CS Mutua, and we must tell the President to look at incompetence with every CS, regardless of where it comes from. I submit that incompetence does not reside in Mount Kenya. It must be dealt with wherever those that are incompetent come from. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I submit.
Senator Veronica.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity, and I rise to support the statement by Senator Cherari K. Sampson on the death of Dr. Daniel Ndege Chacha, who was a doctor at Kenyatta National Hospital. Nothing grieves my heart more than to see a doctor dying within a hospital setting. And I wonder whether this was a setup, Honorable Speaker. How can a doctor not be treated within the area where they are working, Honorable Speaker? Is it even the government to blame? Is it SHA to blame for not having a cover? Or is it even the doctors who are working with this colleague of theirs who are to blame for failing to even render emergency services to this doctor who needed help? Honorable Speaker, I don't find it proper or in order for anybody to explain that the reason why a patient, not even a doctor, would die within a hospital setup just because they do not have a medical cover. What we need to know, Honorable Speaker, is that under Article 43, every person is entitled to right to health under the socio-economic rights, Honorable Speaker. And there is no reason, there is no explanation, even from private hospitals. If a patient is taken to an emergency room, Honorable Speaker, there will not be a sufficient explanation that they did not have money. That's why they were not given emergency treatment, Honorable Speaker. And I want to once again commend Machakos Hospital, because we took a patient there a little while ago, and nobody was asking us about money as we received emergency treatment for our patient. And to say that hospitals need to know when it comes to emergency treatment, it is an automatic right before people decide who is supposed to pay those bills, whether they are supposed to be paid by SHA or by the family or by whoever is supposed to sort out that bill, or whether it's the patient who is supposed to sort out. So, Honorable Speaker, I first blame the doctors who are in that hospital, who denied access to medical, access to health, and access to medical facility to these two doctors. And I believe this was malicious, and they wanted to see their colleague down. And I also want to comment on this statement, which I support, by Senator Gloria Orwoba. Honorable Speaker, it is a very big shame that after some Kenyans stopped conning people using land and property, the new area where they are conning people is the vulnerable youths who are seeking for jobs outside. It's a very big shame. And I'm asking myself, who is licensing these agencies? Who is vetting these agencies? What is NEA doing that our youths are being conned money they do not have? No youth has 50,000 Kenya shillings in their pocket.
Senator Mandago.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to rise to comment on the statement by Senator Ojienda, the Senator for Kisumu, on the issue of clean water, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, water being part of the default functions, Honorable Speaker, Kisumu County Government and Lake Victoria South Water Works Development Agency, Honorable Speaker, have a responsibility to make sure that the residents of Kisumu, and not just Kisumu, for purpose of Lake Victoria South Water Works Agency, Honorable Speaker, for the entire basin, that they have clean and accessible water, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the challenge that is there in supply of clean water in Kisumu is also associated with the source of water, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you know we have Lake Victoria there. Lake Victoria that we are just supposed to use for transport, fish, but we are not supposed to touch the water of Lake Victoria because it is part of the Nile water, Honorable Speaker. It is time, as countries of the East African community, that we sit down under AU to discuss the Nile Treaty, Honorable Speaker. There is no way countries along the Nile will continue to stay without clean water because there is a treaty that was signed over 100 years ago, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think that is a matter that must be taken up by the State Department of Water to ensure that counties that are around Lake Victoria are able to utilize the water in Lake Victoria both for domestic but also for commercial purposes, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the issue of supply of clean water also is associated with the governance structures that are available in the water service providing companies we have in our counties, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, recently in my own county, Honorable Speaker, we witnessed a situation where clean drinking water from Eldoas was mixed up with wastewater, sewage water, Honorable Speaker, and we had a whole diarrhea menace in the whole county. Before we could settle on that, Honorable Speaker, recently we were served with water that looked like strong tea from Eldoas, Honorable Speaker. County governments must take the management of water and provision seriously and take the necessary steps to ensure that there is clean water so that health of our citizens is also guaranteed, Honorable Speaker. Finally, Honorable Speaker, on the issue of the death of the doctor, Honorable Speaker, I just wish to let all hospitals in this country, whether private, mission or government, that the law that has now been passed allows every citizen to access emergency services without any pay. So there is no excuse whatsoever as to why that doctor had to die on account of there was no medical cover for that doctor. I really want to ask the medical practitioners and the doctors that if you cannot save your own colleague.
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to also join my colleagues to add on the Senator Cherargei's statement. Honorable Speaker, actually it's very unfortunate that a medical doctor dies as a result of being neglected and not given treatment immediately by the very hospital, the Kenyatta National Hospital. That is actually, which is supposed to be the national referral hospital for all cases, whether it's a civilian, whether it's a public servant, but for a doctor. Honestly, it's actually unethical, and Kenyatta National Hospital must take responsibility for whatever has happened. Honorable Speaker, in this country today, issues to do with health has been so much commercialized that you take somebody who has had an accident to a hospital, then you take to the hospital, and then you're being told, you see, covered. Even if it's covered, then they tell you, give us time to contact the health insurance. I mean, somebody who is actually bleeding all over. Somebody who is not able to, I mean, why don't these guys not treat the doctor initially? And they maybe, if the worst comes to the worst, they can still hold him in the hospital. After all, he's even working there. Honorable Speaker, this is actually, because Utu, your blood, actually. It's just missing the inhuman understanding of it. So I think the Committee of Health must take this thing serious, and it's not only Kenyatta National Hospital, it's almost all over, across the hospitals in Kenya today. Honorable Speaker, I also want to add on Gloria's statement that, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans are so unemployed that they become so desperate. Not only desperate, but students are now, people who are not employed, especially young men and ladies and women who came from universities are now looking even for small jobs, even sweepers. And then people are taking advantage of, that condition. People are being taken to overseas where they cannot even get access to even support. They are being underpaid. They are being lubed. They're being duped, being told that you're going to be given a good job, and then they end up doing very useless jobs. Honorable Speaker, I think the minister has also taken responsibility, and we must come up with laws that prohibits Kenyans being recruited by unknown people, and the greedy, the people who have been recruiting young men and women, that are causing a lot of problems for this country. And I think it's a high time the Minister of Labour should take responsibility, able to register all those people who claim themselves to be recruiting agents, and they should take responsibility. And we must have a kind of legislation that will be able to bar or even a compensation for anybody who has been duped and been misled, that he or she should be employed.
Senator Essie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to support the statement by Senator Cherargei. It's actually very sad that we can lose a doctor who treats patients for free. And this is not the first time we are having such cases. KNH has been notorious on this, and they give very lame excuses when it comes to such issues. For instance, there were claims that this doctor was not fully employed with KNH. This is not a reason to just let him suffer the fate that he actually ended up with. Mr. Speaker, if this can happen to a doctor, then I pity ordinary citizens who are lying in hospitals waiting for help to come nearby, Mr. Speaker. And I wish that we do not continue lamenting about such issues and take stern actions against such happenings in our hospitals on a daily basis, Mr. Speaker. I also want to support the statement by Senator Uroba on recruitment. The moment I saw huge numbers being flagged off to go out of the country, I knew there was a problem. And that's why personally I was very reluctant to rush into getting my young people into those programs, because I knew there was an elephant in the room. I think I was wise. So, Mr. Speaker, we are not going to take advantage of young people who they are suffering from getting help in school. The moment you graduate, there are no jobs for you out here. The moment you think there are greener pastures out there, we have colonialists of our times who still want to terrorize you, Mr. Speaker. So I want the committee that is going to handle that issue to look at it deeply and lead a crackdown of some of these recruitment agencies which are exploiting desperate Kenyans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Roba.
Thank you, Speaker. I want to support Senator Mohamed Chute's statement on the transparency that is being requested here on the details of the contractor who was awarded on the construction and the status of the Masabit Segel Maikona Road, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the problem we have, and you will see the recurring trend in all the statements, is that all the members of this House are constantly asking for transparency of projects, government programs that are happening. It is an issue of who is doing business with any program that has been proposed by government, Mr. Speaker. That is the case in all these statements that are being forwarded here, Mr. Speaker. I am standing here because I am also partly affected by some of the statements, including this thing of diaspora jobs, Mr. Speaker. I did recruitment in partnership with National Employment Authority, Mr. Speaker, because they called upon me. And I want to say that when the government of Kenya has come out and said that it has a special program, someone cannot stand in this house and say that they are wise not to participate. This is the government of Kenya. Since when does the government of Kenya, and in all fairness, through a ministry, a government office, allow for conmen to sit and literally con young people of this country, Mr. Speaker? We cannot say that we are wiser, so we did not participate, Mr. Speaker. People are desperate. They are desperate to go out and seek for work, Mr. Speaker. So we cannot just write it off as, why did you participate, Mr. Speaker? We have government programs, the universal health care, the SHI and SHA. How can you start telling Kenyans that BYs don't participate in that? Government is supposed to be for the people. Government is supposed to stand for the people. So when a government initiative on labor export is put out, Mr. Speaker, you cannot expect that Kenyans will say, oh, don't touch that, because there could be a possibility that they are being conned. That is victim blaming. You cannot blame the victims of those who have been conned, because some of them actually were conned from the office of the Ministry of Labor. So what are we trying to say to Kenyans? What are we trying to say, Mr. Speaker? I want to call upon the President, my party leader, Mr. Speaker, to fire the Cabinet Secretary of Labor, because he knows what is happening and he knows exactly why we are standing here and we are upset, Mr. Speaker. This person is incompetent and his interests have been seen. He is not there for the people of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. And I want to say this with all fairness. Let him go home. Let him go home.
Clerk, next order.
Order number 8, the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of 2024, resumption of debate at division.
That order is deferred. Next order.
Order number 9, motion, consideration of the National Assembly amendments to the Persons with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2023.
Chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for letting me have the opportunity to move this bill. Moving notes on the consideration of the National Assembly amendments to the Persons with Disability Bill 2023. Senate Bill number 7 of 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move the motion that the National Assembly amendments to the Persons with Disability Bill, Senate Bill number 7 of 2023, be now considered. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Persons with Disability Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 7 of 2023 was introduced in the Senate by way of first reading on Wednesday, 22nd of March 2023, and thereafter stood committed to the committee for consideration. The bill is a comprehensive legislative proposal aimed at repealing the existing Progress with Disabilities Act number 14 of 2023 and replacing it with a more robust and constitutionally aligned framework. The bill emphasizes a human right-based approach to the protection, promotion, and realization of the rights of a person with a disability in Kenya. It also outlines the responsibilities of both the national and the county governments in ensuring that inclusion and welfare of persons with disabilities. The bill addresses the needs for persons with disabilities across various sectors, including education, health, employment, and public participation. The bill also emphasizes the importance of
Clerk, kindly. Okay, thank you. Proceed, Senator Mugwa.
Accessibility and non-discrimination aiming at to create a more inclusive society for all. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Order 145 of the Senate Standing Orders, the committee conducted public participation and considered the views, recommendations of the public, and thereafter laid the report in the House on Wednesday, 31st of May 2023. The bill was passed in the Senate, and Thursday, 21st of February 2024, and referred to the National Assembly, where it was considered and passed with amendments on Thursday, 16 January 2025. Thereafter, at a sitting of the Senate held on Thursday, 4th March 2025, a message from the National Assembly on the proposed amendments was recommended, and thereafter, consequently, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is at this sitting held on Thursday, 18 March 2025, the committee considered and amendments from National Assembly and noted that, one, the amendments strengthened the bill. Two, the amendments reorganize various provisions of the bill, ensures that the rights of persons with disabilities are more elucidate The amendments also introduced new protections, such as criminalizing the exploitation of persons with disabilities through begging, and as well as ensuring that access to housing, and the bill, once passed in amendments, will provide stronger legal framework for protecting and promoting the rights of persons with disabilities, aligning with the Constitution of Kenya and international human rights standards. Mr. Speaker, sir, based on the above, the committee observed and deliberations therein, the committee recommends that the National Assembly amendments be adopted and the bill be consequently approved with the amendments. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move and request Senator Miraj Abdullahi to second.
Senator Miraj. Senator Miraj, you may proceed even as the notes are being passed on to you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I beg to second the amendments on the Person with Disabilities Bill as moved by my chair of the Labour Committee, given that the bill originally was from the Senate and was taken for just a minute. I second.
Senator Miraj, proceed to second.
Yes, Chair, I'm proceeding. I beg to second, as moved by the chair, the good proposal of the bill that was overwhelmed, passed by the Senate and the National Assembly with amendments. I feel that the amendments that have been put in this bill have enriched the original bill and have made it even more better for implementation with clear laws, even with better legal bindings from the National Assembly. And this makes me a very relieved parent of a disabled child in this nation, looking at the things that are proposed in the bill. I would like to congratulate my vice chair, Senator Asige, for a well thought out bill. She's extremely the best. She's a gem within our committee, and I wish her all the best. Thank you, Chair.
Now, honorable senators, I now propose the question that the National Assembly amendments to the Persons with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2023, be now considered. Now, members, this is, I see from among the members, the majority leader just come in. I will first call upon, yes, Senate Majority Leader. You have made a request. Very well. Senator Samson Cherargei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for this opportunity. I want to support this motion as agreed by the National Assembly and the Senate, and to congratulate Senator Crystal Asige. I know we have come a long way with this bill. Mr. Speaker, I want to request indulgence of chairs that in future, when they are midwifing a bill that belongs to a member, they should at least allow a member to second so that at least they continue owning the baby. So that, Mr. Speaker, secondly, this just motion and report is just a cleanup. I think I want to congratulate National Assembly for the first time. At least they have processed one of our bills in good time. Unlike before, where they have filibustering with our bills and the reelecting Mr. Speaker. And you are aware of that because there are many bills that National Assembly has become a graveyard of the bills from the Senate. I'm happy this bill has received overwhelming support. It shows the awareness of all leaders on the role of people living with disability or people who are differently able, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I have seen it's most of the amendments that have been proposed by the National Assembly. I don't think as a Senate we'll have a contention. Speaking for myself and I think a number of colleagues, Mr. Speaker, is more of cleanup. I think most of it were cleanup and a few amendments that were introduced that I find it non-contentional. And I think with the consent of the owner of the bill, Senator Crystal Asige, it should not be a problem, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, looking at the new introduced, just to make a comment so that because this is just a motion, is more a cleanup, all the clauses that are there, here and there, but my eye has caught the introduction of clause number 26, where there is an amendment of clause 1, clause 26, that has been amended by deleting and introducing that the issue of freedom of expression to people living with disability. Mr. Speaker, sir, you have seen mostly Senator Crystal Asige normally struggles to get the attention of the House because as a society, we are yet to adopt in living with people living with disability. So, Speaker, you go to some places, there are no ramps for people living with disability. Even in freedom of expression, even when you go to most of the public functions, you rarely find sign language interpreters, people who can assist the hearing aid to the people living with it. I normally see Citizen TV, they only have one person called Yula Nzale. I think I've only heard that name, that try and do sign interpret. I'm happy. Nowadays, there is awareness across the country. This freedom of expression, whenever we do public participation, Mr. Speaker, I have not seen anywhere where people living with disability have been given a way of giving their public participation, especially on legislative business that we have here. As a Senate, since this is our baby, we must, through your office, Mr. Speaker, come up with innovative ways of giving voice to the people living with disability so that they can be heard, they can be seen, we can know their position on many other things that we have. Even the proposal, the affirmative proposal of 5% in public service, in elective positions, we must make it a reality, Mr. Speaker, so that they also feel the appreciation. Even in our counties, you normally rarely see out of the executives that we have, Mr. Speaker, you rarely see a person living with disability. It's after the hue and cry of PWDs in that county that even in the national, I don't think we have achieved the 5%. Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal both to national and counties that we must relook at it and ensure that we focus so that counties can also, if counties were doing these things, it would be better. And like Kericho, Mr. Speaker, where one person is registering a phone and collecting the revenue on behalf of the county, and that person is not known. And I hope the majority leader is seized of that matter. So, Mr. Speaker, we must do the right thing so that we can ensure that we protect the law in this country. And therefore, I agree with this one, that let access to information as per Article 34 and 35 in access to media freedom, access to information under the Access Information Act of 2016, let people living with disability be given the voice to be heard, to be seen, and to be felt across the country. The second, because I have only 4 points, Mr. Speaker, is on the issue of number 2, clause number 63, where, Mr. Speaker, that commits an offense is liable not exceeding 1 million for a term of exceeding, Mr. Speaker, I think this is important, that we must make violation of this act to be very painful, so that people cannot just, you remember, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, I don't know, I think you were on the seat also, we were discussing the Statutory Instruments Act amendment, and we were saying let us increase the punitive fine so that people can implement the law. Say that when we tell counties to employ 5%, When they violate, we have a mechanism of punishing those aggressors, both at national and the county level, Mr. Speaker. Number 3, Mr. Speaker, I agree the headquarters should be Nairobi. Although I think, Mr. Speaker, we need to agree that sometimes with the advent of devolution, let us have branches in Bomet, in Nandi, in Mombasa, now that Nairobi is the capital, in West Pokot, Mr. Speaker, in Uasin-Gishu, in Mandera, in Wajir, in Migori. I think as we say, Mr. Speaker, you know, for example, and you and me come from sports, and I saw there was sports in your county, IIF. But tell those people that build that stadium, the county government should build public toilets because our children really suffered. I got that complaint. Access to water and there were lack of sanitary amenities in that stadium. I hope the county government can fix it in good time, and you can take that message to my friend the governor. Mr. Speaker, and therefore we come. Can you believe, Mr. Speaker, and I know Senator Aaron Cheruiyot has pushed for elections in Athletics Kenya. Can you believe somebody training in Iten, if they want services of Athletics Kenya, AK, they must travel all the way to Nairobi? And you know most of them are using matatus, Mr. Speaker. Why don't we devolve offices to Kericho, to Kisii, to Nandi, to Iten, to where these people are, Mr. Speaker? So even as we say that the headquarters of this, the Council of People Living with Disabilities, we must remember the people in Mashinani, so that we don't waste time. I pity our athletes, Mr. Speaker, that they have to travel six hours. Mr. Speaker?
Majority Leader wants to inform Senator Cherargei. Do you want to be informed?
I think on this one I can allow Senator Aaron to inform him.
Proceed, ML.
I don't like the troopers have been given, Mr. Speaker. How can he say on this one? I thought I should inform him on everything, Mr. Speaker. Anyway, the quick point I wanted to inform Senator Cherargei is that in 2016, when we were doing the WADA Act, the one that currently guides the management of athletics and all these doping issues, I brought an amendment to this House, Mr. Speaker, and argued very vigorously that the headquarters of that institution should not be here in Nairobi, but should be somewhere in the North Rift, where 90% of the athletes come from. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, that amendment was defeated. I want to plead with my good friend Senator Cherargei that he can give it a second shot, because the country is in a better mood of equity right now. Under the broad-based arrangement, we are reorganizing Kenya, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that those that have benefited more than others are giving space for those that from the forgotten corners of the country. Therefore, I want to urge Senator Cherargei to bring that amendment, Mr. Speaker, and we will support him.
Senator Cherargei, proceed, and as you do so, in the same spirit that the Majority Leader said, in terms of affirmative action, that will be a better opportunity for you also to advance, so that you take support to your people, if it means you will support to take it to the North. Proceed, Senator Cherargei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the Majority Leader. I will borrow his notes after I finish submitting, Mr. Speaker, and I'm willing. And I'm happy because the Majority Leader has said he will support me to ensure that. So he will mobilize the numbers. Because he's the owner of the baby, I'll be the foster father of the process. And therefore, in the principle of equity, I agree with the Majority Leader. Now let every Kenyan feel that they are part of this country. Yeah. While we say the council should remain in Nairobi, Mr. Speaker, let us, when we go to Bungoma, when we go to any part of this country, let us get an office. And I hope Senator Crystal Lasige, when the president will be signing this into the bill, into the act, I request the Senate Majority Leader to ensure that Senator Crystal Lasige is with the president, including yourself. You should be happy, Senator Crystal Lasige. The Majority Leader has confirmed that you must be there during signing. And kindly appeal for the resources so that we can have officers across the 47, so that we show that we protect evolution in this country. Number 4, and the final point. Mr. Speaker, you need to protect me. The introduction of 66A. Mr. Speaker, I think this street begging, we need to agree. I agree with the National Assembly. You find most of these people, I don't know where the truth is. Because when tear gas are thrown in town, the people who are with legs suddenly have legs. I don't know, maybe Senator Sifuna will guide me on this because, because he knows the street better than me. You know, I'm a villager. Mr. Speaker, when a tear gas is thrown in streets of Nairobi, the people with legs suddenly have legs. And they were beggars at different corners. So I don't know, I agree that the people living with disability should not be misused or abused by being used to street begging. It must be punishable by law. Anybody found, they must be punished by law, even if they are child or people that going to the ensure, Mr. Speaker. And even on the issue of 723A, I want to say with the affordable housing program, let us give 5%. And I want to appeal to the government that as we sit, the affordable housing program, out of the units that the government will sell to Kenyans, let it ensure that in the advert through Bomayangu, we must put that 5% should only be reserved with the people living, you want 10%? Yeah, 10%, but the law, let's start with 5% so that they can be reserved and ensure that we're going. Mr. Speaker, in the interest of my colleagues who also want to comment on this motion, this is a straightforward motion. Mr. Speaker, I want to support this and allow other colleagues by saying. Oh, sorry.
Senate Majority Leader.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, there are many reasons why, as Majority Leader, I rise to say different things. Today, on this particular matter, allow me to celebrate Senator Crystal Asige. Mr. Speaker, there have been many senators that have been nominated to this House to represent persons living with disability. You must first place context for people to understand why this is such a milestone. This bill amends the 2003 Act of Persons Living with Disability. We've had 3 parliaments. This is the 3rd parliament since the coming into place of the new constitution, Mr. Speaker, and all the challenges that persons who are gifted differently, Mr. Speaker, face in this country, it has not been possible to get somebody to put in the hard work, like Senator Crystal Asige has done, to ensure that this bill becomes law. Mr. Speaker, I know among the many conversations that I've had with her, this was among the first things that she asked me about, to help her, hold her hand, and ensure that she succeeds at this. Mr. Speaker, this must go on the records of this House, that the opportunity that we are granted to legislate in this House is an opportunity to change the lives of ordinary citizens. Every law that we pass here, Mr. Speaker, affects people one way or the other. And it is always our challenge to ensure that we pass law that makes the life of other citizens better, that they look at us and say, thanks to the legislators that are in the 13th Parliament, they have finally remembered us. The population of persons living with disability, Mr. Speaker, is in the millions in this country, Mr. Speaker. And many of them continue to face discrimination and various challenges that haven't been addressed, despite the fact that they have very good provisions, courtesy of our extremely progressive constitution. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I just felt that it would be important to celebrate the industry of this colleague of ours who has shepherded this law, ensure that in the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, this business is finally concluded and is now back here with a mediated version of the bill, and we are hereby passing this bill. I know this, Mr. Speaker, because last time, together with another colleague, I think Senator Isaac Mwaura, we attempted this. But you know, he didn't, unfortunately, and no offense to him, we didn't succeed. Because, you know, to pass a bill, there are many members that begin on the work of legislation, but they don't have the discipline to follow it through and ensure that it comes into law. There are many people that have attempted. So when a colleague of ours
inter-county, national, regional, or even international concerns. And this
Honorable Speaker, I was waiting for the point at which the majority leader utters the words that he has finished with, thanking the nominating party for bringing such a brilliant individual to represent persons with disabilities. Of course, the record of this House
didn't succeed because, you know, to pass a bill, there are many members that begin on the work of legislation, but they don't have the discipline to follow it through and ensure that it comes into law. There are many people that have attempted. So when a colleague of ours dedicates their time, Mr. Speaker, as Senator Crystal has done, together with those that have worked alongside her, our staff, and those in the National Assembly that guided the bill, Mr. Speaker, we that on the day when we finally conclude on this and this is signed into law, Mr. Speaker, persons living with disability will bless each one of us in this House and say, at least we have been remembered finally after so many years. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank all the stakeholders that have been involved, those that have given their feedback and input. I know national councils for persons living with disability have even visited in my office more than 2 occasions and asked that, can we please conclude that it's becoming an embarrassment of monumental proportions that 10, 11, 12 years after the advent of the new constitution, Mr. Speaker, we haven't aligned our laws to the provisions of law. And therefore, I am happy that this afternoon we are bringing this business to a close, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that when you meet persons living with disability on the street, at least you can sit with them and say, we have eventually done that which we promised. I know this, for example, was part of the charter that we signed with persons living with disability at the UDA party, Mr. Speaker. And for this to have come to pass today is something worth celebrating. Therefore, Senator Crystal Asige, this, alongside the other one that I challenged you, where I know you have already concluded in Senate the nominations of persons living with disability into our county assemblies, and it's presently before the National Assembly. You conclude those 2 legislative proposals and ensure they become law, you will have permanently sealed your place, and the ODM party will celebrate you and say that we nominated a person who deserved that position. Congratulations, and thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna Edwin.
Honorable Speaker, I was waiting for the point at which the majority leader utters the words that he has finished with, thanking the nominating party for bringing such a brilliant individual to represent persons with disabilities. Of course, the record of this House will show that the ODM party continues to be extremely proud of the nomination of Senator Crystal Asige. She has demonstrated an understanding of the issues of the people that she represents that has widened our perspective and understanding of the issues facing the persons living with disability in this country. Speaker, allow me to start with an often repeated adage in this House that the National Assembly is a place where Senate bills go to die. But for the very first time, and maybe Crystal will be sharing the magic because we have many more bills if you look at our order paper that will require the input of the National Assembly. For the very first time, we can see first of all, a very positive reception of ideas that have originated from this House, and secondly, an action by the National Assembly to actually enrich the proposals that we've made in this Senate. So, Honourable Speaker, I also want to say that I support the report, I support the amendments by the National Assembly. There's 3 specific clauses that have been introduced by the National Assembly that I wanted to speak to. First of all, Honourable Speaker, there is an amendment that appears as clause 26, which deletes subclause 1 and substitutes the subclause with the right to freedom of expression and opinion, including the freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas, and the right to access information on an equal basis with others in a timely manner and without additional cost. I think this is something Crystal wrote herself, because from the time that we got into this House, I know she has caused a lot of problems for the Secretariat here, even accessing simple thing like an order paper. She kept at the beginning of this term reminding this House that she did not have the same abilities to see the things that were being posted on the group in the manner in which they were posted. So this is something I am sure Crystal wove into the bill herself to access information just the same manner that Sifuna and other able-bodied senators in this House do, and on a timely manner, because oftentimes we would start debate and then somebody remembers that, oh, we needed to put it in a version that Crystal can access. And I am sure there was additional cost of trying to get this information. Honorable Speaker, allow me to also mention that in December, when I was meeting the community health promoters in Nairobi, I met another very interesting VIP by the name of Angela, and I had actually promised her a meeting with Crystal. And some of the things that she was speaking about, Honorable Speaker, they also widened my perspective about the challenges that these persons living with disability go through, and especially visually impaired persons. Would you know, Honorable Speaker, that when a visually impaired person goes to see a doctor, they need somebody else to accompany them to read what the doctor has said is a problem with them. Now, this presents a very serious constitutional problem, Honorable Speaker, that medical information on what you are suffering from is not necessarily things that you want to share with everybody. So it is yes, it is a private affair. So, Honorable Speaker, you can imagine if you told members of this House to even go with their spouses to read some of the, what are they called, the results of their tests, they would not allow it. So you imagine having to go with a third-party stranger just because they are your helper to then read the results for you and then to tell you what those results are. Of course, that person is also consuming that information in proper violation of the rights to medical privacy. And then, Honorable Speaker, even when you're given prescription drugs, because the standard practice in our hospitals is that they have no special, you see the small envelopes in which they put the drugs. There has to be a way in which a visually impaired person living on their own can be able to tell that this is medicine I've been given for my headache, this is the medicine and even the instructions that are written on the envelopes there, saying this one should be taken 1 times 1, 1 times 3. If you do not have somebody else to help you, Honorable Speaker, then it is impossible for visually impaired persons to even take those prescriptions properly. So she challenged me as a legislator to make sure that this right of access to information that now has been prescribed here, we will expect that even our hospitals, they will comply, that we will find a way of making sure that if you give somebody their medical results or their prescription, they must be in a language that they can access, in a format that can be accessed, whether it means that we will have to incorporate Braille in medical reports and even in those prescriptions. So I am still hoping that Senator Crystal will not give up. She will give me opportunity for us to have that conversation with Angela, because as the majority leader has said, the role of legislation is solving real problems for real people and not just throwing around legislation for the sake of legislation. Then, Honorable Speaker, there is a new clause, 66A, which talks about a person who procures, causes, or encourages or solicits a child or an adult with disabilities to engage in begging. Honorable Speaker, this is a very serious phenomenon, especially here in Nairobi. Because of the attendant economic challenges that come with being a PWD, and because society has decreed or encouraged many of us, when we see a person living with disability, you just automatically imagine that these people need your support and that is your financial support. Yet many of these PWDs have the ability to actually fend for themselves. In Nairobi here, we tried to make sure that we give opportunity for PWDs to do business even within the CBD, although recently there was a very serious case when the county government of Nairobi kicked them out of their places of business in the CBD, a matter that brought a lot of consternation to all of us as the leadership of the county. And, Honorable Speaker, those of us who know Nairobi, the streets of Nairobi, there is a phenomenon where you will find that there is a specific person with disability walking with an able-bodied person asking for alms, and they have been there for years. You actually can tell every person's square, as if it were, akin to how the drug lords and drug dealers acquire territory that no other person can come and actually beg there or request for alms there. And it tells you that it is an organized syndicate, that they find these persons with disability in the villages or in our estates here in Nairobi, and they ensure that they work certain corners, as they say, begging for these alms. And we don't say that it is all of them. We are saying that it is actually a phenomenon, and it is our responsibility for, to make sure that we take care of these persons so that they are not taken advantage of. So you will find, Honorable Speaker, that in most cases, even the money that is collected at the end of the day, that PWD will get a very small percentage of that money. And you can imagine it's a cartel. You have a cartel boss who is running the whole of Harambee Avenue. He has put 5 persons with disability on every corner of Harambee Avenue. He's the one who brings them in the morning, stations them there, and picks them in the afternoon and collects every coin that they have made on a single day. And also, it is an abuse of our empathy as a people. It is an abuse of our good nature. It is an abuse of our inclination to help those who may say they require help. And this is what has made, there's even been a lot of hostility directed at genuine persons with disability, because somebody somewhere says that they might be part of this cartel that is soliciting for alms, and yet they are just taking advantage of these persons with disability. So the bill here, the National Assembly has proposed, and it's a proposal that I support, that if you are found taking advantage of persons with disability, forcing them to solicit for alms or begging in the streets, you will be liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 2 million shillings and imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years, or to both. What I want the National Police Service to do with this provision immediately we pass, I think there are some straightforward and obvious cases in the streets of Nairobi. If you find somebody has been working the same corner for the past 12, 20 years, it should be a red flag that that person needs to be investigated. And we want to encourage even the persons with disability, although they might be doing this against their own will, but they need to understand that they have to cooperate with the law enforcement so that they are not victimized when they themselves are actually victims. They are no different from the Kenyans we were discussing, who were lured into faraway countries only to be taken advantage of by cartels in these online scams. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, there is the new clause 73A that provides that every government agency putting up residential and commercial buildings shall reserve at least 5% of the said residential and commercial buildings for acquisition by PWDs, and the terms and conditions of such acquisition to persons with disabilities shall include interest-free and longer periods of repayment. Now, this is a live matter, especially here in Nairobi. And I wish there was a way to make it clear that when you speak of government agency, you are speaking of both government at the national and the county level. Because as you know, Mr. Speaker, Nairobi County government is undertaking the largest construction project for housing in this country. We have 13 old council estates that are being redone in what the county government is calling urban regeneration program. We broke ground just a few weeks ago at the site in Woodley, and there are other 12 or so estates that are waiting that development. If you look at the agreements that were signed between the Nairobi County government and the developers, it is stated there that the Nairobi County government will be receiving the proportion of housing units equal to the amount or the value of the land that was donated for that particular project. So for Woodley, for instance, we were told that the value of land was put at around 10 billion Kenya shillings, and that entitles the county government of Nairobi to a 30% share of the units that will be built in that particular project. How I wish this particular provision had come earlier, because Honorable Asige, unfortunately, in that agreement between the residents and the developer and the county government of Nairobi, nobody thought about access to housing by PWDs. And you need to think about it at the inception so that it is clear to the residents that, for instance, the housing units on the ground floor are going to be exclusively for persons with disabilities. Because there is no point, Honorable Speaker, having somebody on the 20th floor and creating even more problems when it comes to access. So I wish that this had been done earlier, but as I've told you, Honorable Speaker, you need to hang out with Senator Crystal before you see some of these angles to these very real issues. But I'm hoping that we can make sure that there is a way, even those contracts that have already been signed, we ensure that Nairobi County government and of course the national government, which is doing houses in Mukuru, we are doing, they're also doing houses in Langata. We hope that these 5%, Honorable Speaker, will be set aside for residents to occupy, residents with disability to occupy. Then the second limb of that particular provision also provides for interest-free and longer periods of repayment. Now, this is extremely critical because as we have been educated more than once here by Senator Sige, there are economic downsides that come with PWDs because of the way the Kenyan economy is set up. They start off with a clear disadvantage, and they might not have the same access to resources or to even credit that we able-bodied persons have, or indeed to even jobs and economic engagements that can be meaningful for them. So for us to provide interest-free payments and longer periods, it allows for these houses to be accessible to all these people. I remember having a conversation with one member of parliament where the houses are being done, and they're saying that the houses are affordable, but the deposit alone, Honorable Speaker, is 150,000 Kenya shillings. And many of these applicants, because we are doing these houses in essentially areas that were former slums. You know, if you go to Soweto B in Langata, Honorable Speaker, the people who are targeted to move into those places cannot afford 150,000 shillings as a deposit. In fact, that provision of a deposit should be removed entirely. We were able to push the Nairobi County government in Woodley at least, for them to concede that if people who have been occupying those houses from way back when the estate was built, they don't need to put down any deposits. In fact, they don't need to build any houses. The governor of Nairobi, to pay any monies. The governor of Nairobi is on record saying all former residents of Woodley who gave up their houses for the redevelopment will get their houses for free, and that the rent that has been paid by their fathers and their fathers before them up to date is what constitutes the purchase price, and it is a return for the goodwill in cooperating to ensure that the project is done. So even for the national government, this question of asking residents of Kibera, asking residents of Mukuru, for them to pay a deposit of 150,000 to access a unit and then you start paying slowly, Honorable Speaker, it is not going to work. And especially so for persons living with disabilities, and we hope that we can convince even the national government to adopt the same approach that the county government of Nairobi has taken. So, Honorable Speaker, all in all, those are my comments on the amendments by the National Assembly, and I wish to see more cooperation such as this between our two houses, because all this legislation that we propose here, I believe it is good for the people, it is good for the people of Kenya, and we need to do it together for them. So with those very many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Senator Professor Margaret Kamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity first to congratulate Senator Crystal for the passion with which she drives the agenda of disabilities in this House. Thank you, Senator Crystal. You motivate all of us to want to be part of what you're doing. And I want to also thank the committee for the good work that they did. I want to thank the National Assembly for the additional amendments, and I'll refer to two of them because Senator Sifuna has actually come through most of them and touched on what I had wanted to touch on. The first insertion that I wanted to comment on is in clause 26 on the issue of every person with disabilities has the right to freedom of expression and opinion, including the freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas and the right to access information on an equal basis with others in a timely manner and without additional cost. I really felt like this was describing part of what as Senator Sabuna said, part of what Senator Crystal actually took us through at the beginning of her session. She insisted until we discovered that there are ways of doing things. The thing that is very clear, Mr. Speaker, is that it is not the people who have disabilities that need to change. We need to change ourselves. And we need to do things the right way. We need to know that we are all in the same house called Kenya, and we must accommodate each other in whatever we do. So we need to prepare ourselves more. I am so excited looking forward to Kenya Sign Language, which is one we are sponsoring with Senator Sige, because it is going to be transformative. The addition of all Kenyans must sign so that they accommodate is something that is so powerful. So here when we say every person with disability has a right to freedom of expression, we must facilitate that freedom of expression. We must enable that freedom of expression. When we go to courts for cases, Mr. Speaker, and you are a lawyer, you find that whether we are online or physical, sometimes people with disabilities cannot even hear anything about the inheritance of their own parents. Inheriting something from a parent, you go to court, and the language that is used, if you cannot hear, if you have a hearing impairment, you cannot even hear what they're talking about. And nobody's bothered to tell you what is going on. So we need to really change and to prepare this country to be an equal society. And to be equal means we must be able to communicate with everybody. It's notwithstanding the fact that in our own constitution, we have actually 3 languages. Kenya Sign Language is one of the languages that are in the constitution. But when we are learning English, we are not learning that one. So why are we ignoring it? We should be learning it at the same speed so that all of us can be able to do that. So for this amendment that was brought in, I think this is a powerful one, and it will make us think on how to enable everybody in society to express themselves. The other one, which really captured my attention, was clause, was it 60? Yes, 66A. The misuse and abuse that people with disabilities have received, not only in this country, but world over, Mr. Speaker, cannot be described. At one point, we were being told that most of the disabled in Nairobi were actually from Dar es Salaam. That somebody decided the best thing to do is to bring faces that are not recognizable, so they went and collected people from Arusha and from Dar es Salaam and brought them with disabilities to be in this city and used them to collect a lot of money. Mr. Speaker, I'm so happy with this addition from the National Assembly, because this is now becoming more explicit, and that we need thereafter in implementing this law to make sure that there is a way of catching the thief. We have to have a way of identifying these people and actually asking them who brought them out, which means that we have to go a step further and regulate who should be in the street. Should we be having street children in this country? Should we be having the disabled in this country having problems, begging in the streets? I think we are a country that should be rich enough to take care of our people. And we need to know exactly where everybody is coming from. Should we demand that everybody should have an ID if they are there, so that we are able to assist them? Because this issue of misusing and using people has to come to an end, and I really congratulate the Senator Crystal and the committee for bringing this bill this far. I think we are just a few steps, and we should be having a law. And when the law is there, it will be upon us to make sure that this clause is implemented, so that unless you can identify yourself and say, I'm a beggar from Elgeyo Marakwet, and I'm in Nairobi, and this is my ID. If you cannot be identified, we would like to know where you have come from so that we're able to help them. Better still, it should make us think further, because if we are saying that anybody who is registered with the National Council of Disabilities is entitled to funding from the government, we should also see that ID, that you are actually getting money from government. And that is the area we should focus and see if we can enhance so that we don't find anybody with a disability being in the street. And that is because that's a responsibility for government. So, Mr. Speaker, I really do support, congratulate them, and say that we are really steps ahead and we are going to do well. I support.
Senator Veronica Maina.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Let me first take this opportunity once again to congratulate our colleague, Senator Christo Asige, for the commendable work she's been doing in this House. She has very ably and adequately represented persons who are living with disability, and she has not wasted any chance to prove that disability is not inability, and that she's been able to carry their voice. They have been heard, maybe even more loudly than some of us who are not in her state. So we are very proud of her and the work that she is doing, and we hope that she continues in the same spirit. I have looked at the report, and I want to also congratulate the committee which has steadied their fingers on this bill and ensured that it has come this far, because as we have so quickly discovered is that we can propose legislation here, but it becomes very difficult, especially when it has to go to National Assembly and consensus has to be drawn. And sometimes, even when the legislation is very good, there are always hiccups as to when that registration becomes a bill, becomes law, because of the many hiccups and the many obstacles that it meets along the way. And especially because of the legislative pathway, which has to pass through stakeholders' engagement, and it has to be approved by public. And I'm happy that the stakeholders' engagement now, the courts have taken grasp of it, so that we now have some set parameters within which stakeholders' engagement will become acceptable or not acceptable, and that will eliminate some of the current processes that have been concocted to suit what one would call public participation, so that we have quality participation that is then coming from the members or public that we represent. I have looked at the proposals that have been made by the National Assembly in respect of this bill. They are not very fundamental in nature, but they have refined the draft that was presented here. So they are definitely very welcome. And when I look at the very purpose of the bill that has come to the floor of this House, we must continue to applaud the effort, because when I think of the journey the women of Kenya have walked through, it's a very similar journey with what the persons with disabilities have walked through in this country, because you know how the women in this country have grappled with the question of inclusion. And it's shocking that while women are making up over 51% of the population in Kenya, yet we still have to really fight and grapple, and for 12 times over in this parliament, the gender bill has been defeated, and it has been an issue of inclusion. So it really brings light to our day to see that another category of members who are excluded can now be included using this bill of persons with disability. So I'm sure it will bring a smile to very many people. And I'm thinking of all the persons in Kenya who are living with disabilities, who sometimes tell me that they make over close to 4 million, I don't know whether it's 4 million voters, close to 4 million voters in Kenya, who have been crying even to be able to access registration under the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. They don't even have quick access to that registration. I wish the chiefs could help them access that registration, because sometimes they can't even for under Clause 5, we check fair to rights, is a very, very good introduction to the bill. It's an affirmation. It is concretizing the fact that once it is named as a right in law, then it has to be enforced and it's implementable, and the court can even order for that right to be granted to the person who will be demanding under that right. But let me also go to clause number 26, which I find very interesting because it's an introduction of a new clause. Clause number 26 indicates, 26.1, subclause 1, indicates that every person with disability has the right to freedom of expression and opinion, including the freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas, and the right to access information on an equal basis with others in a timely manner and without additional cost. And I'm thinking of this right, Honorable Speaker, in the context of education, because one of the areas where children who are living with disabilities have to be listened to or have to express themselves, they would be affected by this right. And now that this right is defined, I'm asking myself, how well will this right be implemented, especially to the school-going children, those who need to study in a certain age group for the persons living with disability, especially when they need to be in school? How will that right be implemented? Does it need more backup in terms of legislation or regulation to ensure that the schools where these children are being taken to study, they are able to access that right to freedom of expression and opinion? Because, Honorable Speaker, when I look at the schools where they are supposed to be integrated, the government now has taken up a policy of where these children should be integrated back into ordinary schools to study. Is this right capable of being implemented with just this provision? Because it's a new introduction, and I don't know whether we do have an avenue now to even firm up this new clause, because if it is to be implemented and if it's to be allowed to be enforced, how do you affirm that right of freedom of expression and opinion? You enter a classroom in Republic of Kenya, if you enter one of the schools like the ones I went to in the primary school, you'll even find some of those children may not be able to access even the height of the desks, the height of the boards where they are being taught, where that freedom of expression and opinion is supposed to be seen or displayed. How do we have that right customized to make sure that it's not impossible and that that right is enforced within our schools, and the schools are made in such a manner that they have a wing or a section that then enables this new introduction of this clause to be enforceable to the category of children that it would apply to? But having said that, I would still say it's a very good introduction because it's a bouncing board. Maybe it's a right that then forms the threshold on which any infrastructure that is being prepared to customize the schools to accommodate children who are living with disabilities, that then this right can be used, enforced further by regulation. And I know now this is at the very final stage and the report is being adopted. Maybe an amendment will then follow later to bring in regulations or to bring in other provisions that then helps us to use this right of access, impartation of information and ideas, because part of it would come through an education program, an intensive, deliberate education program, so that it's not lost on paper or lost on theory or just provided for and does not have a budget that can help it to be enhanced until it's capable of being utilized properly to benefit the category or the clientele that it's intended for. So let me say I'm personally very pleased with the report and the consensus and the way the National Assembly has behaved on this specific bill. And we would call upon the National Assembly, on areas where we do not need to break our sweat or to fight or to contend unnecessarily on matters that can be agreed upon, that should be done. And all the bills that are lying in the National Assembly awaiting consensus must be looked into, and such reports returned back so that the legislation in Senate is not unnecessarily hindered by delay in getting consensus or getting feedback on amendments that are needed to come back to the House in order for the legislations to be passed. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and once again, congratulations to Senator Crystal.
Thank you, Senator Veronica. I now call upon Senator Catherine Muma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for an opportunity to speak to this report. I wish to congratulate Senator Asige for being a true representative of persons with disability. I speak as one who belongs to the family of persons with disability, as a mother of a child with severe disability. And for those of us who brought up members of the family with disability, we sometimes give up. And I'm glad that the legislative space has the energies of a person with a disability who recognizes that we are fatigued trying to get included in this country and is willing to do the work for us to get included. I just want to thank you on behalf of mothers of children with a disability, on behalf of persons with a disability, on behalf of persons with severe disability who cannot speak, who cannot say anything, but are still human beings, apparently of equal rights under the Constitution of Kenya. I want to thank you because even as members speak to this, Senator Veronica, this right is actually in the Constitution. It is in the Constitution in Article 27, in Article 54, in Article 53, in Article 2, which makes the Convention on Rights of Persons with Disability to be part of the laws of Kenya. These rights are there. The Convention says all education systems should integrate persons with disability. And integration means that the designs of buildings should be built to ensure that persons with disability can access. Integration means that the teaching staff should be given the instruction to be able to include persons with disability. It means you need to factor the different types of disability in schools. Those with visual disability, those with hearing disability, those with physical disability. But we never do it. For persons with disability, they must add there the rights of persons with disability before it's done. And even after it is put in the law, it is usually difficult for it to be implemented. Don't be surprised if you find we are happy the law is passing, but a budget passes with zero amounts of money on how to integrate and include persons with disability. But we will continue soldiering on, and I love your energies, Crystal. Please keep doing this, and we are behind you. I love your energies, and it does not end with this law. There are many other issues in which we need to include persons with disability. Recently, I brought a question to the CS Health on how persons who are dependent on drugs, life-saving drugs that control seizures are helped in this country. Those drugs are expensive, but we have no subsidy. The government does not help. So if you are a child with epilepsy from a family that is poor, your child will degenerate and keep getting fits every day until they die, because nobody has put it in any policy on how to include that child by ensuring that they access those medications. So I want to thank the National Assembly. And I like it when we take laws seriously and look at them just on merit to see how we can improve them. I'd like to congratulate the National Assembly for actually doing a good job to just improve what we had passed. I particularly want to commend them on the new clauses 66A and new clauses 73A in terms of inclusion. When we talk about government projects, we need to keep a quota for persons with disability. When we are talking about concessions, we need to increase the concessions in taxes for persons with disability. And not just persons with disability, but also for families which have persons with disability that are not able to come and claim on their own. So I am glad that we have a clause that we can actually move to the CS housing to find out how much of the housing all over the country is being set aside for persons with disability. And I like about the clause also on the prohibition of abuse .
Inter-county, national.
This is exemplary because this is the reason why we are in parliament. Sometimes people think we are in parliament to be able to go and launch classrooms, to be able to launch bursaries, to be able to go and issue sanitary pads. We are in parliament primarily to influence legislation, to convert policy into legislation. We are in parliament to give voice to the voiceless. We are in parliament to ensure that those to whom power has been entrusted, those who think that the job of a parliamentarian is brick and mortar, is 90% development, that they're in the wrong place. If they want to do that, let them go to those positions of executive authority where they can do brick and mortar and leave the intellectual aspect of ensuring legislation is fit for purpose to those who are willing to sit in parliament. Mr. Speaker, I recall contributing to this bill at the second reading, and I was in support, and we were also very happy that finally we found a bill that was aligning with the Constitution and that was bringing a human rights approach to handling matters of persons with disability. We were very happy that a robust institutional framework was being established through the National Council for Persons with Disabilities to oversee the implementations of the provisions of the bill. And Mr. Speaker, again, when we commented on this bill, we were happy that it provided certain tax reliefs and fiscal incentives to encourage employment and support of persons with disabilities. I am happy that the National Assembly did not object to the main principles that were espoused in that bill. Mr. Speaker, the basic structure of the bill has remained the same, and what the National Assembly has brought back are more or less editing and slight corrections that would further enrich the bill. Mr. Speaker, talking to the report, because to repeat my earlier contributions on the content of the bill would probably be a violation of the standing orders. But this bill was published on 20th of February, 2023. We are now on the 2nd of April, the year 2025. It tells you the average time it takes to process a private member's bill. I don't know whether it is that way because of robust public participation or it is that way because of internal bureaucracy. Mr. Speaker, I hope that in the 2 years that have lapsed between the introduction of this bill to today, when we are adopting the report of the committee, most of that time has been spent in public participation and stakeholder engagement. And Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage the officers of the clerk, and particularly committees, that sometimes we must take a purposive approach to public participation. Purposive in the sense that if you are dealing with a bill on persons with disabilities, you are able to list the stakeholders which you feel are relevant and who can provide positive or critical feedback on the proposed bill. What we have done in the past, or traditionally as Parliament, is to publish a notice in the newspaper and then hope that someone is going to read that notice and hope that someone is going to respond. Mr. Speaker, we have seen situations where a very serious bill, you only get 4 or 5 responses from the usual suspects, from the Council of Governors, from maybe County Assemblies Forum, maybe from a ministry, and yet there are so many other stakeholders. And so I want to encourage a purposive approach where the clerks can sit with the sponsor of a bill and scan the landscape and say, within this space of persons with disability, who are the people whose response and whose participation and feedback we would get. We were dealing with the addressing and street numbering bill that was sponsored by Senator Dulo, a very comprehensive framework that is going to change the way we number, the way we name our streets in the cities, in municipalities, in towns, and across the country. And when we looked at the public participation matrix, we had no response from any institution of urban planners, no response from any institution of architects, no response from people who are subject matter experts. But we had responses from Nairobi City County, we had responses. We had just about 4 or 5 responses. Mr. Speaker, I say that because if it has taken 2 years to incubate this bill, we hope that no one is going to run to court and allege that there was inadequate public participation, as has happened in many other legislations. I do hope that now that we have just 2 more years to the closure of this Parliament, and I know that members still have bills. We still have bills coming in for first reading. If this very progressive bill by Senator Sige has taken 2 years, Mr. Speaker, it sounds like bad news for anyone who's bringing a bill right now. Because if that's the average time taken to process, then those of us who are still in pre-publication scrutiny on our bills, it is a bit discouraging. So I hope we can look at our internal processes and find a way of fast-tracking things. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to hail the National Assembly that for the first time, they have not pulled the money bill card, which has been used to kill legislation that is originating from the Senate. And this is a spirit with which we should operate. It must be put on record that we can never condemn the National Assembly in a wholesome manner. They are very good people in that house, Mr. Speaker, and I interact with them. We interact with them in our counties. We interact with them in social places within the precincts of Parliament. You'll find them at the restaurant, at the gym. You'll find them at the library and such places. They are very good people in the National Assembly. Let it not be a wholesome condemnation that this Senate has a fight with the entire institution, or that House has a fight with the entire institution of the Senate. What sometimes gets out of order, sometimes is just overzealous members who, because of local competition and local politics, want to belittle the institution because perhaps there's a senator who sits here and seems to be getting the advantage at the ground. But the consensus on this bill has further proven that point, that if we get our act right, we can work together for the betterment of this nation. And I hope that that can also apply to the other bills that we painstakingly taken our time to process. Things like allocation of resources that should be going to county governments. And these county governments, that is a theater of operation where even empowerment of persons with disabilities starts at. Mr. Speaker, you don't expect that persons with disability should troop to Nairobi to seek opportunities. And that is why devolution was brought, so that through the principle of subsidiarity, if someone is impaired and is unable to travel or walk, You don't force them to climb a plane or to take a train or a bus to come to Nairobi to seek opportunities. Those opportunities can be found there at the county level. And Mr. Speaker, that is why even if you find yourself in a situation where you do not agree with your governor, you cannot disagree with the concept of devolution. And it must be made clear that when we criticize and we put governors on the spot, and when we put them in the firing line because of misuse of public resources, we will never stop supporting devolution. Because bad governors will come and go, but those counties will remain. Bad governors will be elected and will be kicked out of office, but the people in the counties are Kenyans and they deserve to get services. Mr. Speaker, I will conclude just by encouraging the House that we quickly process this so that it also goes on record that this House has sponsored or this House has processed a number of bills which have originated from here and have become law. Mr. Speaker, my county boundaries bill seems to have gone to purgatory. It is somewhere. We are never sure whether it's going to heaven or it's going to hell. It originated from the Senate, and we don't know the end of it. And I hope that the National Assembly will prioritize the bills that come from the Senate, the same way that the Senate has always prioritized the bills that come from the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, I support the report of the committee.
That brings us, honorable members, to the end of the contributions by members, because there seems to be no other member willing to contribute to this motion. And I therefore call upon the mover of the motion, Senator Mulgor, to reply.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to members for contributions. Pursuant to Standing Order 663,
Senator Mulgor, before you make that request, kindly reply to the motion procedurally so that you make your application.
May I thank all the members, Mr. Speaker, for contributing very positively. There are those that are here, and there are those that have left. And therefore, I thank Senator Veronica, Senator Moma, Senator Kajwang, and Senator for Nairobi for contributing very heavily, and therefore, and Kamar also, so very grateful to them and those who have left. And therefore, I beg to reply.
Now you can make the application pursuant to Standing Order 66.
Therefore, pursuant to Standing Order 663, I request to deferment or putting of this question to a later date.
Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 66, putting of the question to this motion is deferred to a later date. Clerk, you may now call the next order.
Order number 10, Committee of the Whole, the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2023.
Senator Muma, Senator Veronica.
Senators, you may resume your seats. We proceed. I want to call the House to order, and we are proceeding on to the Committee of the Whole on the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2023, and we will canvass through all the clauses.
Clause 2, the title, and Clause 1.
I propose the question that Clause 2, the title, and Clause 1 be part of the bill. I put the question that Clause 2, the title, and Clause 1 be part of the bill, division at the end. I want to call the mover of this bill, Senator Sifuna, to take up the floor.
Honorable Chairperson, pursuant to Standing Order 153, I beg to move that the Committee of the Whole do report to the Senate its consideration of the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2023, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
I put the question that the committee do report, that the Committee of the Whole do report to the Senate its consideration of the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2023, and its approval thereof. I beg your pardon. I put the question that the Committee of the Whole do report to the Senate its consideration of the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2023, and seek leave to sit again tomorrow. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as are of contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Honorable Senators, you may resume your seats. I call upon the chairperson to report.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole has considered the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2023, and seeks leave to sit again tomorrow.
Mover, Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report and request Senator Kajwang to second.
Senator Kajwang, proceed. I second, Mr. Speaker. You're yet to be on the mic. Give the microphone to Senator Kajwang.
I second, Mr. Speaker.
Now, honorable members, I propose the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report, and I put the question that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Honorable Senators, for the convenience of the House, we shall defer order number 11 to number 16, pursuant to request by the sponsors and the movers of the various bills, and I will direct that order number 17 be called out.
Order number 17, the Creative Economy Support Bill, Senate Bills number 30 of 2024, second reading.
This is a bill sponsored by Senator Eddie Okech, who is not present in the chamber. The same is therefore deferred to a later date. Next order.
The Livestock Protection and Sustainability Bill, Senate Bills number 32 of 2024, second reading.
This is a bill sponsored by Senator Dr. Lelegwe, who is equally absent in the chamber. The same is deferred to the next sitting. Next order.
The County Government's Amendment, Order number 19, the County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 34 of 2024, second reading.
Number 39, correct, make the correction. Number 39.
Order number 19, the County Government's Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 39 of 2024, second reading.
Senator Mbugwa, who is the sponsor of this bill, is not present in the chamber. The same is deferred to the next sitting. Next order.
Order number 20, the Labor Migration Management number 2 bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2024, second reading.
Senator Tabitha Mutinda, who is the sponsor of this bill, is absent in the chamber. The same is deferred to a later date. Next order.
Order number 21, the Street Naming and Property Address System Bill, Senate Bills number 43 of 2024, second reading.
This bill is sponsored by Senator Fatuma Dulo. She is not present in the chamber. The same is deferred to a later sitting. Call the next order.
Order number 22, motion, consolidation of bursary funds for equitable access to education in Kenya.
This is a motion by Senator Karungu Thangwa, who is also absent in the chamber. Members, we may rise.
Honorable Senators, conclusion of business. Honorable Senators, there being no other business on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until later tomorrow, Thursday, 3rd of April, 2025 at 2:30 p.m.